Hello, I'm super excited to be here with you today to talk about how to build and support mission critical apps and solutions in Smartsheet. My name is Ben Canning. I'm Vice President of Product Management here at Smartsheet. That's my picture, although I have a cool beard now. And I'm joined today by Tony Fournier from one of our fantastic customers from Denver Health. Thanks for being with us today, Tony.
Great to be here, you bet.
Excellent. So today we're going to talk about a few different things. First of all, we're going to understand some best practices when it comes to building those sort of truly mission critical solutions that, if this thing goes down, the whole business is impacted. We're going to see how customers are using Smartsheet to create these things. And this is where Tony is going to give us, I think, a tremendous walkthrough of some really cool stuff that they're doing at Denver Health and using Smartsheet to do. And then I'm going to talk through several of the sort of the specific capabilities in Smartsheet that you can use to build these kinds of large-scale solutions, and with a particular focus on the new Bridge and WorkApps capabilities that we're announcing at the conference today. Got some mandatory legal stuff to go through. We're going to make some forward-looking statements in this presentation. It's forward-looking; it could be wrong, and we'll probably mention one or two other products by way of example. That's not an endorsement of those products or them endorsing us. It's just by way of example. There's a chat feed that you can get into while the session is going on, and there'll be folks in there ready to answer any questions that you may have. And Tony and I will hang out after the session as well for about 15 minutes to answer any questions as well. So with those preliminaries out of the way, I'd like to really get into it. And let's start off. I'm going to hand it over to Tony to talk about the work that they do at Denver Health and how they're using Smartsheet to solve some of their challenges. So Tony, let me hand it over to you and take it away.
You bet, Ben. Thanks, and appreciate the intro. I've been using Smartsheets officially since January of this year. Heard about it a little bit last year, and actually a couple of our other teams were proficient in it, using it last year, and that's how we heard of Smartsheet and got this project started. But let me just quickly talk about some of the challenges we were having prior to January. I'm a team of two, me and an associate. We were literally touching hundreds of spreadsheets throughout the year, also spending about 100 hours, maybe more than 100 hours, just copying and pasting from sheet to sheet. Sometimes, errors of omission would happen, or just copy and paste errors throughout the sheets. And we really had no way of tracking, the historical, what was in that cell before we made an error, pasting it into the wrong cell of the other sheet. Either way, that kind of led to, not that our CIO ever made any wrong decisions, because he doesn't, but potentially there was definitely a chance that some of that rolled up data could be erroneous without him knowing it. Finally, then, meeting with over 100 business departments, managing all the different workbooks and Excel sheets, just thousands and thousands of pieces of data, we were just struggling. It was very labor intensive. And then, again, one of our other teams that was using Smartsheet, I make the joke, hey, I know a guy named Smartsheet. You need to talk to him, Tony, when he saw our pain. So on the next slide, since we started the project in January with Smartsheet, we still have about 100 departments, actually 80 some workbooks provisioned. We use Control Center to kick off the process. Each department has a dashboard. It's got their own sheets, their data intake sheets, reports, different widgets showing charts, et cetera. And I'll show a little bit of that here in just a couple minutes. What it's really enabled us to do, one of the real excitement points for me is knowing that the data is now accurate. There's no more cutting and pasting from this sheet to that sheet to showing it on a chart. Smartsheet does it all behind the scenes for us, and really just makes me feel good when our senior executives and the CIO look at the dashboards that's presented to them. I know the data is always right. And then one of the other major things we did too is we went from a 3-hour mass workshop, having multiple departments try and fill out those sheets, to now we can meet individually with each department, provide them a lot better customer service. So that's real exciting for us. On the next slide, Ben, we just to give perspective, and I'm the business continuity disaster recovery administrator. One of the specific tasks, or the tasks that I'm using Smartsheet for, is the business impact analysis. For anybody who knows that knows business continuity, this is a process, one of the most important industry standard processes, to make sure that the IT department understands, number one, who are our customers, our business departments, what processes do they do day to day, and what are all the IT systems, applications, devices that they use to perform those processes. And then finally, one of the biggest outputs or deliverables for us is the criticality level list. So this list that that Smartsheet automatically produces, sends out a report for us. The bottom line just helps IT understand the criticality level of each system, each application, and what our restoral or recovery priorities are to make sure that whatever clinical or business department, we make sure that that application is up and restored when our customers want it restored. So that's just to give you some context of what the next few sheets are I'm going to show you. So Ben, if you go to the next slide, the primary executive roll-up that I deliver, and it's always posted on one of our big TV monitors, is the business impact analysis dashboard, our annual process. Again, I'm tasked with meeting with all business departments and their subunits, at least on an annual basis. And this dashboard just shows how we're doing that. So real quickly in the upper left, there's just some widgets that show how many meetings are projected when we schedule out the meetings per quarter, and then how many actually we've conducted. And if any of those meetings are behind, Smartsheet just rolls that up. There's an executive update section there in the upper middle. In the middle of the dashboard, the Gantt view just helps us, I can focus that on, from September today to the end of the year. And I know that there's about 30 to 40 department meetings left and who those meetings are with and when they're taking place. Then finally, lower on the sheet, just some data roll-ups in bar charts as far as, are there any gaps? Does our customer want something that IT is not delivering? And, if so, how are we doing on resolving those gaps? So again, lots of different ways, whether it's pie charts or bar charts, ways to show that. On the next slide is the individual departments dashboard. So each department, say, in this case, it's Acute Center for Eating Disorders. And some of the data, we've manipulated it here for privacy. So when you see some of the numbers, they may not necessarily be right. So either way, I'll just leave that as it is. But this lets us know the total processes that Acute Center has, how many of those processes are critical, i.e., can they stop for more than 30 minutes or less than 30 minutes without there being some other impact to the rest of the organization. We then track how many systems and applications that IT has that we're providing and maintaining for this customer, and then how many are vendor hosted or how many are just non-IT contracted or all. They're just some application or system that's available on the internet. And we have no control to maintain that. We identify the gaps. Work locations is summarized on their dashboard. And then under the BIA content, each of those, line items or sheets, that's how we do the data intake. And right now, me and my associate, we meet individually with every department. It's about a 1 to 1.5 hour meeting. And we actually could do all the data intake. Our users are not yet providing their own data. And we're hoping for some efficiencies to come in that area. So that's all I want to talk about there on the individual department dashboard. So there's many items that we collect, or data elements. I'm only going to really specifically talk to two, just in the interest of time. So again, what business processes, what does the Acute Center for Eating Disorder do? And again, this data is somewhat, I guess, altered for privacy. But on the left main column is their process, and then there's a lot of data that we collect. How long can that process stop? If all the IT resources were unavailable, does the department have downtime procedures, and for how long are those downtime procedures good for? And then we capture each of the risk areas. If the business process, continues to be down for, let's say, greater than 48 hours, what is impacted? Is it patient safety? Is it the clinical care of the patient? Is it, revenue documentation? All the way to patient experience. So that's what we collect on this sheet. On the next sheet is then the system and applications or appliances that the department uses. So there's a list down the left column of some of the applications. And again, the color coding, you don't got to pay a lot of attention to it now, but we can color code whether, hey, that's an IT supported application, or is that a vendor hosted app? For example, Smartsheet. We don't run that in our data centers. That's running in a vendor hosted data center. So we know the recovery time objective, and then we can hold our vendor accountable to make sure that application or data is available. Same things I do or the IT team does for our systems. Few other data elements here, but really that's the meat of what I want to talk to here. Ben, on the next slide, then we, I believe, have a roll-up of, oh, I'm sorry. So I guess that's where I end. I'll turn it back to you, Ben.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Tony. It's really kind of humbling to see customers like you put together these solutions that are so vital to the business. I mean, this is about people's healthcare and ensuring that we have continuity of care for folks. It's a wonderful thing to see what you've been able to do. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I think we've got a few things that I'm going to show today that may help you take that to sort of the next level. So let me dig in and talk about that a little bit. So so you saw Tony show a pretty comprehensive solution that used a number of different aspects of Smartsheet. If we take a step back and think about how do we create these kinds of powerful solutions, there's a number of factors that typically go into designing one of these things. So one is around data intake. Anytime it's one thing when you've got just a few folks that you're dealing with and you can handle it in mail, but when we're talking about a scaled solution that's going across 100 departments, getting the data intake right is super important. And that's a function of not only ensuring that you've got the right fields and validation, but also of making sure that the data intake process is actually intuitive enough that folks outside of your department can actually interact with it and find it intuitive, because otherwise they're just going to route around your process. It also has to be discoverable so they can actually find the form that they're supposed to fill out and understand the status of those things. And we'll talk in a minute about how we can help you out a bunch with the data intake piece. Automation is another key one to focus on. Anytime we have manual processes, there's the opportunity for human error. So how do we allow for much more robust automation of these processes so that we can streamline things and get them done quickly and accurately. And because these are business systems that are highly variable, we need automation systems that don't require that it's always IT that is going off and building some big iron style workflow system. It has to be something that is actually accessible to business users. We need a great system for work management. So it has to be something that is understandable to the people that are working in the process. All the folks that work in Tony's group or in your teams, they need to understand, okay, what work is assigned to me? What's the status of it? Where are the deadlines? What things are going off the rails? And they need to be able to collaborate together. And Smartsheet provides a fantastic collaborative environment for getting work done. When we think about powerful solutions, integrations are almost always a part of that. We're doing more than just checking off a list of tasks. We're integrating with the rest of the software estate that you have. So whether that's pulling data out of a CRM or ERP system, or triggering processes in your CRM system, or kicking off manufacturing work, being able to integrate the work that people are doing and automating integration with the rest of the software estate is really critical. And again, being able to do that at the business user level is really powerful. And then lastly, we need to think about portfolio visibility. So, Tony talked about 100 departments, and I think it was close to 300 different systems that they were keeping track of. So how do you keep track of all of those disparate projects and understand where you need to, move your resources around, and where things are going off the rails? So these are all areas where Smartsheet can help, and I want to spend the rest of the time sort of talking through each of them, and showing you some things that we can do with Smartsheet that we're pretty excited about. So let's start off talking about a new capability that we're announcing at Engage that we call WorkApps. WorkApps is, put simply, a no-code platform for building intuitive web and mobile apps. We were really inspired to build WorkApps by what we saw you doing. We saw folks like Tony building these incredible solutions that were made up of multiple dashboards and forms, pages, reports, all of them working together to build a process. We saw other customers of ours using Smartsheet Mobile to work with their field workforces to manage maintenance tasks and inventory management and all manner of things. And we thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we could take all of those loosely coupled solutions and package them together into a unified, intuitive app experience that could be distributed on desktop and mobile. And that's what we've done with WorkApps. WorkApps lets you streamline your business processes by allowing folks to work at their desk or remotely. It provides a purpose-built user interface, so it's much easier for folks to find the work that they need to do. It's much easier for them to understand exactly what it is that they're supposed to do. So you get over that resistance to, well, I don't know where that form is. WorkApps is all about solving that. And it's scalable. The WorkApps are incredibly easy to build with just a couple of clicks, and they use all of the existing Smartsheet capabilities that you're used to, packaging them into a simple application experience. So I'm going to show you a demo in just a minute. But I also want to talk about another key capability of Smartsheet that is a great pairing with WorkApps, and that's Dynamic View. And we launched Dynamic View over a year ago, and we've been amazed at how customers have taken it up and started to do some really powerful things with it. So if you're not familiar with Dynamic View allows you to manage multi-step processes by sharing only what is needed to get the process done. So oftentimes, you may have a master tracking sheet that's tracking all of the projects that you're doing, but you only want folks to see the projects that are assigned to them or the projects that they submitted. Maybe you have a workflow process that says, I only want folks to be able to edit certain, I want people to be able to see certain columns, but only edit other columns because they need to see the data, but they shouldn't be able to edit it. Dynamic view will allow you to build those kinds of experiences. So it allows for much better data governance, so folks don't see stuff that they're not supposed to see, and it allows for much more robust and reliable processes, and it provides simplified views so that folks are not daunted by a very rich and powerful sheet that's sort of more than what they need. So that's a lot of sort of description. Let me actually show you these capabilities in action. This is a work app that we built as a demo for Denver Health, and this is a project tracking work app, and you can see when I come into the app, I land on this beautiful dashboard that tracks, the health of the project and all of the statuses of the tasks and the project budget, open risk items. So I have a great sort of heads-up display of everything that's going on with this project. Over here on the left, you can see all of the other pages that have been defined in this work app. So in addition to the dashboard, I've got the project launch plan. I've got the project budget. I've got the log of all of the work items. And so it's very easy for me to home in on just exactly the work that I need to do. And because this is a sheet, I can do anything that that you can do in a sheet, I can do right here. So it allows me to come to this one place to get all of my work done and have everything that I need to get my work done all together in one place that's easy to find and navigate. We can embed forms into a work app, so that it's easy to find the forms and submit new task items. We can incorporate reports into the form. So these are all the at-risk tasks. One of the really powerful things about work apps is that it allows you to control who has access to what. So this is a report, and we've chosen to let me have edit access into this report. And the cool thing is that so I have edit access to this report because I've been shared to this work app and in the context of the work app. But you didn't have to give me access to the report itself or any of the underlying sheets. So I only have access to this data here in the app because you've shared it to me, but you didn't have to give me access to any of the underlying stuff. So you've got a lot more control over access, which can help both with data governance, but also with fragility in the project. This is a dynamic view that's been embedded in the work app, and similarly, by embedding a dynamic view, you can see all of my assigned tasks, and I'm able to see just the tasks that are assigned to me, and I have control over some things. So, for example, I can change the status of the task, but I can't change the task phase. Because that's something that only my manager should be able to change, for example. So I can embed my process flow and give my end users access to just the things that they should have access to, and manage my process like I want to, without just dumping them into a sheet. Sheets are great, but they can be overwhelming and too powerful for what you want to do. Another thing that's really powerful with work apps is the notion of roles. So when I share a work app with you, I share you a particular role. So for example, this is the view that I get if I'm a member of the project team. But maybe I'm one of the executives on the team, and maybe I'm one of the executives on the team, and I want to have a much more streamlined view. So if I'm an executive on the team, then I'm going to have a very different view. I'm going to see that project launch dashboard and the launch plan, but I'm going to have a read-only view of those things because as a member of the exec team, you don't want me in here messing with stuff, but you do want me to have access to see the latest and greatest. So WorkApps allows you to define as many roles as you'd like. Maybe you've got the folks that are submitting tickets into your department. You've got the project team that's managing the tickets. You've got the managers that are doing oversight. You may have an exec status board review. You can build a single work app that contains roles for all of those and customizes the experience for each of them. So everybody goes to the same place, but they see the information that's most relevant to them. And if you want to change things over time, you can easily add new pages or take pages away from the work app and republish, and it'll be out and available. Work apps are incredibly easy to build. There's a couple of other sessions here at Engage that'll go deep into building work apps, but it's really just a couple of clicks. And for example, this work app, which looks pretty cool and has this great launch dashboard and everything, this is actually a template. So when WorkApps is fully released, you'll go in and say, I want to make a new work app that's a project launch template, and you'll get all of this built sort of out of the box, and you can customize it to your needs, just the way you customize any other Smartsheet content. So we're pretty excited to see what you're going to build with WorkApps. So let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about portfolio visibility. So again, Tony talked about the number of projects that he's dealing with at any given time, the number of systems that they're managing, and I'm sure many of you are dealing with the same thing. You're remodeling 1,000 retail stores. You're dealing with hundreds of projects that are coming in from your external constituents. You're dealing with a bunch of projects that are coming in from clients. Any kind of large scale, many project kind of situation, you really want to have a dashboard like this. You want to be able to see what are all the projects that are in flight, how am I allocating my resources to them, which ones are in good health, how am I doing against budget. But keeping track of this kind of portfolio level dashboard can be really daunting, especially when the projects get above 10 or 15. And this is where Solution Control Center from Smartsheet really comes to the rescue. So let me walk you through sort of how that works. So Solution Control Center starts with the notion of a blueprint. And a blueprint is just a definition of a set of assets that make up your process. So maybe it's a project that has a tracking worksheet and a couple of reports to track, late tasks and ongoing tasks. A blueprint can define pretty much any kind of repetitive process where you want to have consistency in the way that projects or processes are run, and you need to do that at scale. Oops, wrong way. So one thing that Control Center will do is will manage for you that the definition of that blueprint, and then printing out 10 or 20 or 100 of those projects automatically for you. That allows you to maintain consistency at scale. But that's really just where it starts. You also want to think about demand management. You've got a finite set of resources that you're managing, and you want to understand what projects are coming in to your capacity and how to manage them. So Control Center provides a demand management system, a complete demand management system, both with forms for doing intake so that all of the information that you need to evaluate an inbound project is there. Who's going to be working on it? What's the annualized revenue? What kind of resources do you need? In the near future, the demand management module will be integrated with our 10,000 feet product as well. So resource allocation will be able to be handled dynamically within the demand management process. So as projects come in, you'll be able to do the what if analysis to say, okay, which projects should we fund? What's the most priority? What's going to get us the most revenue? How should we allocate these things out given the resources that we have? So it gives you real control over your full portfolio of work. The next thing that you're really going to want is portfolio reporting. So you've got 1,000 projects. How are those projects actually doing? And where are your hot spots? Where do you need to intervene? How are you doing against your budget? So one of the things that Control Center will do for you automatically is, as those projects are stamped out, it's going to provide you with roll-up reporting automatically to allow for all of the information from those projects to roll up into centralized reporting dashboards. So you always have visibility. And that portfolio reporting is pretty flexible. So you can have, visibility at the regional level, which then rolls up into a global level reporting. So you can have an automatic picture of exactly what's going on and the ability to drill straight down in to figure out where the problems are and how to get after them. Next, you're going to want to think about process improvement. It's one thing to spin out 1,000 remodel projects into a bunch of folders, but normally when you do that, you're going to figure out a couple months in that you learned something. There's actually another piece of data that you wanted to track. There's a few more steps in the process that you need to take, or you've found a way to streamline things, and there's a bunch of work that you don't need to do anymore. In the past, you'd have to pay somebody to go into all of those 1,000 projects and touch them up, or you'd send a notice out to everyone that says, hey, can you go and update your projects because we need you to do this thing. Incredibly error prone, takes a long time, lots of manual labor. So fortunately, Solution Control Center has a notion called global updates. Global updates allow you to make a set of changes in the master blueprint and have those changes be rolled out to the individual projects, updating them and allowing you to maintain consistency over time without actually having to do that manually all the time. So that can be an incredibly powerful way to turn yourself into a learning organization that is constantly adapting to change. One of the great stats that we use a lot when we're talking is that 86% of projects fail because of lack of agility, because of changes in product requirements or expectations in the middle of the project. And this can just be a killer when you've got hundreds or thousands of projects going on and you don't have any way to get in there and make tweaks and improvements to your process in light of changing realities. So Solution Control Center can be a fantastic way for you to maintain that agility and flexibility to grow and learn over time. And we see customers doing this time and time again. And then lastly, as time goes on, projects complete or they're no longer relevant, and you'd really like to sort of clean the cruft out of the system. But you don't want to have to go back and update all of the links to everything and fix all of your dashboards to no longer pay attention to these older projects. So we've built archiving capabilities into Solution Control Center. And those archiving capabilities will allow you to identify which projects are actually no longer relevant. You can maintain all of the data about those projects, fork them off into an archive, and get them out of the day-to-day management. So it allows you to keep focus on just the things that are most important to your business. So put all together, it provides you with a really incredible end-to-end package for managing your demand, maintaining consistency, having visibility into everything that's going on across a wide portfolio of projects and services. And we've seen customers drive thousands of store remodels with this solution. It's integral to the work that Tony's team is doing. It's one of the most powerful tools that we have, and I encourage you to. We'll have some links at the end to learn more about how to take advantage of it. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the integrations topic. Anytime we're talking about mission critical solutions, it's rarely the case that we're just talking about there's a set of tasks that need to get done. If we're doing something mission critical, it probably impacts on other aspects of our software estate, and so we need a way to bridge, if you will, Smartsheet into those other systems. Maybe we want to ensure that anytime a opportunity is closed won in our CRM system, that we automatically kick off an onboarding flow inside of Smartsheet. Maybe there's a piece of data from our manufacturing or inventory management system that we need to dynamically update into Smartsheet so that we can prioritize the work that the team is doing on fulfillment. You can think of a million and more of these kinds of needs. And so we launched Bridge a little bit earlier in the summer to address this need. So Bridge is again, a no-code system that allows you to automate your business processes with no-code integrations that can be built by just about anyone. They are we allow for very simple, but also incredibly robust and powerful workflow automations to be designed. Bridge comes with a wide array of out-of-the-box integrations with popular third-party systems like Salesforce and others, and that library of integrations is ever growing. And then one of the cool things about Bridge is that Bridge is also extensible by you. So you can add new integrations into Bridge. Maybe you have a bespoke system at your company that we don't have an integration for. Anything that has an API, you can build a Bridge integration to get and receive data from that, get and put data to that system. And we see this as a great way for IT teams to participate and empower their business users. You have back-end big iron systems, your ERP system or what have you. You can provide mediated, approved integrations built in Bridge that allow for trusted and secure and performant access into those systems. You can make those integrations available to your business users in Bridge, and that will unlock access into those systems. IT maintains control, acts as an empowerer, and the business users are now enabled to go and build really cool stuff. We think that that's a huge positive partnership between IT and the business that we're excited to see where it goes. I want to show you briefly what Bridge looks like and give you an example of how this works. So imagine that you run a roofing company that is nationwide in the U.S. One of the things that you care a lot about if you're a roofing company is the weather, because if it's too hot, then your crew can't be on the roof for more than an hour or so before you have to give them a break. If there's thunderstorms in the forecast, then they can't be up on the roof at all. So understanding the weather is really important to planning out how your crews are gonna do and planning out how where you should send your folks so that you can maximize the amount of work that you get done. So this is a hypothetical sheet that's showing all of the locations where this hypothetical roofing company lives and what the weather is like in each of those areas. And you can imagine somebody getting up in the morning and going and looking up the weather and typing it into this thing, but that seems like a really painful thing. But in fact, this is not typed in manually. All of this weather information is being pulled in by Bridge automatically, and I'll show you a little bit how that works. So this is the Bridge Designer, and this is one of these no-code workflows that we talked about. There's a trigger every time a row is We go and get the information out of the row. We read the address information, and we send that off to Google to get the latitude and longitude. That's a built-in integration. We get the weather by again making a call to weather service and getting the weather back, and then we update the row. And it's pretty much as simple as that. This is a very simple workflow. We can get way more complicated. So now let me show you it in action. So I'm going to go into the sheet here, and I'll type in a new location, right? We just opened in Bellevue, Washington, and we've got some projects there. And I'll save the sheet, and you should see in a second or two here that unfortunately the weather in Bellevue, Washington is hazy as all heck, because at the time that I'm recording this, the west coast of the U.S. is pretty much on fire. But that information was pulled in automatically, and it'll be dynamically updated. And we could obviously, using that bridge workflow, we could change this to be much more interesting and robust. But it's a pretty powerful way to reach out to any system out there and read and write data and build custom logic that can be used to empower your solutions. So we launched this a little bit earlier in the summer. We're kind of going big with it here at Engage, and we're really excited to see what you're going to be able to build with this new capability. So that's Bridge. Super exciting new product, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do with it. So in closing, we invite you to learn a lot more about Bridge at the link that you see on the screen. It's a pretty groundbreaking tool for us that we think you're going to do some cool stuff with. If you're ready to start building with WorkApps, you can join the WorkApps preview by following that link as well. We're open for preview at Engage and for a little while after that, and then we'll be launching to everyone a little bit later in the year. You can learn more about Control Center and Dynamic View at that third set of links. Those are hopefully, as you saw, pretty powerful tools that that can enable you to build really robust solutions for your business. And with that, I think we'll turn it over and start the Q&A. And so Tony and I will be back. We'll be available for Q&A for a little bit after the session. I want to thank Tony again for such a great presentation of some really interesting stuff, and I'll see you in the chat.